Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into literally one of the greatest biological detective stories ever to come out of the Himalayas. For centuries, the snow-capped peaks of the roof of the world have harbored a legend that has totally captivated mountaineers, monks, and myth lovers alike. We're going to unpack the fascinating intersection of ancient Himalayan folklore and modern genetic science. So, what's the big question here? Is the Yeti some giant, undiscovered primate straight out of an adventure novel, or is it a known mountain bear hiding behind a mask of rich cultural mythology? We're going to look closely at the actual hard evidence. We're talking bones, hair, footprints, to figure out what's really been roaming around up there for all these centuries. You know, the legendary mountaineer Reinhold Messner actually spent 12 years and made over 20 trips just searching for the Yeti. And he really hit the nail on the head with this idea. We should see the Yeti as a blend of legend and zoological reality. Our goal today isn't to be a buzzkill and ruin the magic, not at all. We want to uncover the living, breathing reality behind the folklore. To crack this cold case, we kind of have to separate the hype from the history. Over in the West, back in the 1920s, the Yeti got slapped with this sensationalized name, the Abominable Snowman, and became this ferocious monster in pulp adventure tales. But for the indigenous people of the Himalayas, totally different story. To them, it's a glacier being. It's highly respected as a sacred protector of the forest, deeply woven into their spiritual and everyday lives. And here is where it gets super interesting. The linguistic roots in Sherpa culture give us a massive, brilliant clue right out of the gate. Long before we had any DNA testing, the local language was basically handing us the answer. The word Yeti comes from the Sherpa Yete, which translates to rock bear. And other local terms like Medi literally just mean bear. The local communities have practically been telling us exactly what this creature is for centuries. It's so fascinating because in these local traditions, the Yeti is far from some mindless beast. It's seen as this highly intelligent entity. It actually originated with the Lepcha people as a god of the hunt, and eventually it evolved into a protector figure in Tibetan Buddhism. There's even this wild legend about a Yeti bringing food and water to a meditating lama back in the 17th century. It really represents that fuzzy boundary, that blurred line between human civilization and the raw, untamed wilderness. And this deep respect is tied to physical relics that have been fiercely guarded in high-altitude monasteries for generations. Take the Kumjung Monastery, for example. They house what's purported to be a 340-year-old Yeti scalp. It's this conical, coarse, brown-haired relic kept safely under glass. During specific ceremonies, a dedicated figure actually wears this scalp to ward off evil spirits. It goes to show how the Yeti is viewed as a powerful force for good, anchoring the spiritual legend right to the material world. Meanwhile, the West completely lost its collective mind over the Yeti starting in 1951. Why? Because of a single photograph. Mountaineer Eric Shipton snapped a picture of a massive, weirdly human-looking footprint in the snow. That one photo spread like wildfire. It sparked dozens of major expeditions and essentially transformed the Yeti from a localized, respected mountain spirit into a global scientific obsession, leading all the way up to some incredibly rigorous 21st century DNA testing. Which brings us to a massive plot twist. In 2013, Oxford geneticist Brian Sykes totally shocked the world. He tested a short fragment of DNA from purported Yeti hair, and the results, well, they matched the genetic signature of an ancient polar bear jawbone from up to 120,000 years ago. Sykes put forward this wild theory that the Yeti might actually be an undiscovered hybrid, a mix of a brown bear and a prehistoric polar bear, just wandering the high Himalayas. But as you can imagine, a tiny snippet of DNA wasn't quite enough for the wider scientific community. It just didn't have the detail needed to definitively lock down the species. So in 2017, Dr. Charlotte Lindquist and her team decided to settle the score. They ran a much more rigorous survey. We're talking 24 distinct samples, hair, bone, scat. And they sequenced complete mitochondrial genomes to finally put this debate to rest for good. And wow, the results are absolutely crucial to our story. Out of 9 specific purported Yeti samples tested in this comprehensive study, the science revealed that 7 were Himalayan or Tibetan brown bears, 1 was an Asian black bear, and actually 1 tooth from a museum exhibit hilariously turned out to belong to a dog. But the big takeaway, the biological foundation of the Yeti legend was conclusively proven to be local living bears. What's amazing is how perfectly the geographic realities match up. The historical ranges of the Himalayan and Tibetan brown bears overlap almost exactly with the very regions where Yeti sightings are the most common. It's like a giant puzzle, and the pieces fit flawlessly. These bears have literally been right there the whole time, living alongside local populations and surviving in high-altitude pockets since the ice ages. So really, these elusive, endangered bears are the true stars of the show here. That 2017 study revealed something mind-blowing about their evolutionary history. The Himalayan brown bear actually diverged from other ancestral brown bears around 650,000 years ago. That is an incredibly distinct and ancient lineage. Along with the Tibetan brown bear and the Asian black bear, these rare creatures are the absolute physical reality behind the Yeti. Okay, but what about those giant, creepy footprints in the snow, right? Well, it turns out it's essentially a zoological optical illusion caused by the bear's unique way of walking. When younger bears walk, their hind paw often steps right over their front paw print, and because they spend time in trees, their inner claws are trained outward, giving the print something that looks a whole lot like a thumb. So, a normal four-footed animal walks through the snow and leaves behind an elongated track that looks exactly like a massive two-legged hominid. Incredible, right? People asked Reinhold Messner if it was a letdown to find out the Yeti was just a bear, but he said absolutely not, because to him, the brown bear is really a monster, in the best way possible. It's this massive, elusive survivor from the ice ages. It commands the exact same awe and respect as any mythical beast. The reality of the animal is honestly just as spectacular as the legend. So, while those sensationalist monster hunting expeditions from the West might have been disappointed by the DNA results, this entire genetic debunking is actually a massive victory for indigenous Himalayan knowledge. The West came in looking for an abominable snowman, some ape-like missing link, but the local Himalayan peoples, they never claimed that. They already knew exactly what was out there. The local people were right the entire time. Their words for the creature literally meant bear. They took the very real, very dangerous bears they shared the mountains with, and they built a beautiful, cautionary, and spiritual mythos around them. Science didn't destroy the myth of the Yeti at all. Science just confirmed what the local folklore had been telling us from the very start. This amazing intersection of modern science and ancient tradition leaves us with such a thrilling final thought. If the legendary Yeti of the high Himalayas is actually a 650,000-year-old lineage of bear, brilliantly preserved in layers of cultural storytelling, what other legendary creatures out there are just waiting for science to finally catch up to the folklore? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your curiosity alive, and I will see you next time.